We all know about the first Chief Scout Executive, Dr. James E. West. But what about the man who followed in his footsteps? This week, we are going to learn more about Dr. Elbert K. Fretwell, the second Chief Scout Executive of the BSA, the award that was created in 2016 to recognize educators who model the values of Scouting in their professional lives, and his connection to Philmont in this edition of Artifact of the Week. Elbert Curtly Fretwell was born in rural Lewis County, Missouri in 1878. As a boy, he used his time plowing the family farm fields to focus on his reading and memory skills. The family had two books available for him to read, the Bible and Pilgrim's Progress. Fretwell would place one of the books at the end of a row while he was plowing, and while the horses were resting, he would review what he had read to work on improving his memory skills. Fretwell received his undergraduate degree in 1899 from LaGrange College in LaGrange, Missouri, where he was recognized as both a brilliant scholar and the best singer in the college glee club. Upon college graduation, he joined the LaGrange faculty, teaching English literature and serving also as the Commissioner of Schools for Lewis County. Fretwell went on to earn a Master's of Arts degree at Brown University, where he also sang with the Brown Glee Club. Fretwell went on to study at the University of Chicago and spent 2 additional years at Heidelberg University and the University of Dijon in Europe, where he studied both music and English. Upon his return from Europe, Fretwell served as a faculty member at the Brooklyn Polytechnic Institute, teaching English. At the same time, he was also featured as a professional tenor singer in New York City. A profile of Fretwell that appeared in the New York World described a typical day in his life during this era as lasting more than 20 hours. He would start his day teaching multiple sections of English before noon, and then after class he would cross the Brooklyn Bridge to report to his work at the Hippodrome for practice, rehearsals, and performances through the late evening hours. Arriving home after midnight, he resumed grading assignments and lesson preparations for the next day, retiring about 2:30 each morning. On Sundays, Fretwell would sing in the choir of the Classen Avenue Presbyterian Church for both morning and evening services. In 1915, Fretwell began a long association with the BSA, serving as a volunteer member of the BSA's Department of Education, the forerunner of the current Education Relationships Task Force. Fretwell recognized the educative power of Scouting and the importance of preparing volunteers and professionals to understand and deliver the Scouting program. Fretwell appreciated the union of formal and informal education in helping young people to grow into effective citizens. He went on to earn a PhD in secondary education from Columbia University in 1917, and upon graduation, he joined the faculty, serving as a faculty member from 1918 until 1943. He received an appointment as an associate professor of Scouting and recreational leadership, lecturing widely on Scouting throughout the nation, and additionally provided academic preparation for both volunteer and professional Scouters. By the early 1920s, he was teaching courses for academic credit, covering topics such as Scouting and Scoutcraft, recreation education, and a course designed specifically for new Scout executives. His academic contributions to Scouting were noted in the highly regarded Teachers College record as early as 1922, and his book, Extracurricular Activities in Secondary Schools, published in 1931, allowed him to explore his interest in leadership development in considerable detail, documenting how experiences in the extracurricular realm were important for preparing young adults for participation in a democratic nation. While the book was not exclusively about Scouting, Scouting's values and its impact on education were integral parts of his narrative. In 1918, Dr. Fretwell was appointed by the Surgeon General of the United States, together with the American Red Cross, to supervise recreation work in the United States Army's Reconstruction hospitals. He was later named National Director of Recreation for the Red Cross. In 1919, he married Jean Hosford, a faculty member at the Teachers College at Columbia University. Mrs. Fretwell published 3 children's books and served as the director of camping for the Girl Scouts of the greater New York area. Together they had 2 sons, E.K. Fretwell Jr. and James H. Stretch Fretwell. E.K. was an accomplished college administrator, serving as chancellor at 2 major state institutions, and James was an engineer at Los Alamos National Laboratory and an active exploring advisor. In 1921, Fretwell became a part-time employee of the BSA, working as Director of Education for the BSA Department of Education, helping to develop the National Training School for professional leaders in Scouting. Among many distinguished contributors and child development experts, Fretwell also contributed to the development of the Cub Scout program, penning the foreword to the first edition of the Boys' Cub Book, later retitled the Wolf Cub Book. In 1933, Fretwell was appointed to the National Executive Board of the Boy Scouts of America. He remained as a board member until 1943, when he accepted a new role as James West's successor as Chief Scout Executive. Until the appointment of Roger Mosby as Chief Scout Executive in 2019, Fretwell was the only Chief Scout Executive to have not previously been a professional staff member of the BSA. For his distinguished work as a volunteer, Fretwell was recognized with the Silver Buffalo Award in 1939. He also received the Silver Tamara of the Boy Scouts of the Philippines for his efforts to restore scouting in the Philippine Islands following World War II. During his time as Chief Scout Executive, the membership of the Boy Scouts of America set records for growth each year. The BSA was also modernized and updated during his tenure, launching a new exploring program for young men and adjusting the entry age for Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts. As an educator and leadership development and training expert, Wood Badge was of particular interest to Fretwell, and in 1946 he launched the formal delivery of the Wood Badge training program, modifying and adapting the two experimental courses that were conducted 10 years earlier. Fretwell's direct connection to Philmont is through the black felt bull patch Scouts and Scouters earned by completing a trek here at Philmont, and the red outdoorsman shirt that was later developed into the wool red jack. Fretwell is credited with designing the felt bull patch and the red outdoorsman shirt in 1944. According to Minor Smith, the Philmont general manager at the time, Fretwell visited the ranch and discussed their development of a Western-style shirt that was appropriate for Western ranch wear. He also talked about developing an appropriate symbol to attach to the shirt to recognize participation on a Philmont trek. Smith goes on to say that Fretwell was inspired by the bull found on the tile mosaic located on the downstairs entrance to the Via Philmonte and requested that Smith trace that image and send it to him. Interestingly, a similar design can be found on the metal fireplace screen found in the Villa Reading Room. In August of 1946, Fretwell presented the 12 regional directors of the BSA with a red shirt and the felt bull patch over the left pocket. In the beginning, the plan was for the first-year camper or advisor to receive only the head of the bull to sew over the left pocket of a red shirt. After another year of participation, they qualified for the body portion of the bull, and after 3 years, the tail. Today, the recognition is earned as a single piece. In 1964, the white bull patch was introduced as the dark green wool jacket was also introduced, and the black bull was hard to see. The green jacket didn't last for long, and the white felt bull patch was transitioned to be presented to women who participated in various programs at Philmont. Fretwell retired from the position of Chief Scout Executive in 1948, and upon his retirement was bestowed the title of Chief Scout. He remained active with the BSA following his retirement and continued to lecture on scouting topics at speaking engagements across the country. Fretwell returned to his family farm in Missouri, growing vegetables each summer, and rekindled his early interest in English literature, remaining an avid reader. Throughout his life, Fretwell was a very active hiker and once noted that he had walked around the entirety of Manhattan Island. On display here at the National Scouting Museum, we have several of the awards received by Fretwell, including his Silver Buffalo. You will also see his Chief Scout Executive and Chief Scout patches and pins on display. In 2016, the BSA introduced the Elbert K. Fretwell Outstanding Educator Award, which is presented to people who make their students better by modeling and teaching scouting's values. The Fretwell Award is not exclusively for classroom teachers and isn't directly tied to the academic performance of students, although this may be part of the nomination and selection process. Any school employee who is equipping students to make moral and ethical choices is eligible for the award. This could be an administrator, custodian, cafeteria worker, attendance clerk, resource officers, teacher's aide, or any of the other number of people that work in a school. Dr. Fretwell passed away at his home in Weston, Connecticut in 1962 at the age of 83. He and his wife Jean are buried at the Providence Baptist Church Cemetery near Williamstown, Missouri. Well, that's all the time we have for this week. Join us next time as we continue to learn more about the history of the BSA through the collection of the National Scouting Museum and Artifact of the Week.